Hey, we're Derek and Bridget hanging out with CFR artist Seph Schlueter.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
So I read about that you had this Damascus experience. That's one of my favorite stories in the New Testament, hanging out with Jesus, walking with Jesus, but you don't know who he is. So you actually had an experience on mission, the Damascus mission. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So Damascus is an amazing ministry that I joined right out of high school. It's in Ohio, and I actually went there as a camper. They run summer camps, is kind of one of the big things they do. This is their 25th year of running summer camps, and they serve like 6 to 7,000 kids a summer, which is just crazy. Just bringing kids into relationship with Jesus, which is so cool. So I was a camper for 2 years, and just around that time, I was kind of really questioning faith, kind of questioning what God's role in my life was. I felt like he was real, but just didn't feel like I had like a personal experience or encounter with him. And going to that summer camp was just so impactful for me because I felt like I not only met the Lord in powerful ways, but I feel like for me, one of the big things was I met people who knew the Lord. Like I met like young adults, not that much older than me as a high schooler, who like showed me what it looked like to like live radically for the Lord. And it wasn't, I think so often like there's this stigma of it's just like, the old ladies and whatever, like those are the only people who still love Jesus. And it's like, that's not true. Like there's so many people of every age. And just to see someone like slightly older than me, like following the Lord, but also like really fun and like engaging, personable was so impactful for me as a kid. And I think for me, it just really showed me what it looks like to follow the Lord in like as a young adult. And it just inspired me to see like, man, like I actually can do this. Like I don't have to wait for years to follow the Lord, but I can do it now. And this is what it looks like.
So it had to be exciting working with that many young people. Was there something that stood out to you? Like, what were they in hopes of? What was on their heart?
Yeah.
I think it's just exciting hearing what they're seeing and what they want.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things from working with kids for so many years that has just stood out to me and I think continues to be true. Number one is they just want authenticity. Like they just want the real thing. And in a world where there's, so much um, manufactured things and so much like, just polish and whatever, like I think kids are just really, really hungry for authenticity. And I think they can sniff it out real quick too. Like they know if something's not authentic or whatever. So I think just they want people to be authentic. They want to meet people that aren't just putting on a face and aren't just, saying the words to say, but are like real and like actually relating to them, having conversations with them and genuinely care. And I think that's one thing. And the other is I think they're just really hungry to be introduced to the real Jesus. I think so often they've received, whether through school or through church or through the world, whatever it is, a version of Jesus that isn't actually who Jesus is. And it's a lot more like, all right, he's, just this kind of tame, nice, whatever guy who just kind of is like, hey, come follow me. But, it's fine if you don't. Or it's like this mean, grumpy old man that just like condemn. It's like, there's just these versions of Jesus that they're presented with that aren't actually who he is. And so when they actually meet the real Jesus, they are so captivated because it's everything they've been looking for, but just haven't been introduced to yet. And so I think just like they're hungry to meet the real Jesus and they're hungry to encounter him. And I think they're actually hungry to then like share him with others. When they meet a Jesus worth following, they're excited to share him with others.
Well, speaking of another type of hunger, when it comes to food, we love talking about food on the show.
You do.
I love
So,
food, so
so who's the chef in your relationship? Like, who cooks more, you or your wife?
definitely my wife. Definitely my wife. It's funny. On tour, I would do like for the VIP people. There's a game called Cahoots, and it's like you like create these quiz. You create like a quiz, and people like get it. People use it in classrooms or whatever. But like you vote on the answers, and whoever answers the most questions rightly, the quickest gets the most amount of points and wins. And the final bonus question that I had for my Cahoots was if I had to cook a meal for Gordon Ramsay, what would I cook? And like the four options were like PB&J sandwich, a steak, something. And then like number 4 was I'd let my wife cook. And that was the correct answer. I would definitely let my wife cook. She's an amazing cook. She can bake, she can do all sorts of things.
So what would be like one of your favorite dishes that she cooks?
Oh man, there's so many that are so good. Like we just had these hamburger bowls yesterday. I've never had a hamburger bowl before, but it's like
Yeah.
instead of like a hamburger, it's like kind of like like a salad ish, but there's like hamburger on it and all this different stuff. That was really great. She makes amazing salmon. She has this awesome salmon thing she does
Ooh.
that I really really like. And like I feel like every day of the week there's like a new food that I is my new favorite from her.
Good. That's good.
Summertime, the big blockbuster, like, Superman and other new Superman movies coming out. So
Yeah.
if you had a superpower, Seth, what would that be?
Oh man. Whew, that's a great question. I go back and forth. I was like a big superhero nerd like growing up. So like I could like, there's a power called reality warping, which basically means you can like do anything. It's like the everything power. So if I'm being like super nerdy, I would probably like be like reality warping and then I could do everything. But if I'm just gonna kind of go for like, a more standard type thing, I feel like being able to like move things with your mind would be really, really cool. Just kind of, move everything around, telekinesis, I think is what it's called. You can move
Yes.
stuff around. It would just be kind of cool. You can like move yourself to fly. You can move things around. I think you could do a lot of really cool things with.
Some people out doing
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure. The amount of pranks that you could do though, come on.
Oh my goodness. Well, are you more of a reader or a like movie watcher?
Oof. I'm both, big into both. So I'm a big reader. I've like been a like I read Lord of the Rings when I was in first grade. Like love books, love reading, that kind of thing. But then also like one of the ways I feel like I rest and relax the most is like watching things. So right now we're in a lot more of like a TV season than like a movie season. We're really big into Survivor right now. So we've been crushing through Survivor and that's been really really fun. And then I'm reading a book right now. It's a biography on Leonardo da Vinci, which is really interesting.
That is
It's a very
interesting.
very fascinating guy. So I'll read like fiction, fantasy. I'll read like biographies. I'll read spiritual books. I'm all over the place. So I just love to consume.
Well, a fun question we like to ask is if you could go to dinner with anybody from the Bible, we know it would be Jesus first. That's a given, okay? But
Yeah.
who would you have dinner with and why?
Oof. I mean, the first answer that comes to my mind is David. I feel like there's, especially as like a songwriter, as a worship leader, just to pick his brain on that, maybe get some uncut songs from him that I can, pass on as my own. Be kind of fun. So I think like David would be really, really awesome. I also feel like kind of like a more hidden one that I don't know is as popular, but like I also thought of Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, one of those three. I don't know which one. They're probably all similar. Like I feel like that story is just so sweet. Like them just like in the fire and being like, all right, you do whatever you want to do. Like it doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna follow the Lord, and we know He can save us. But even if He doesn't, it's not gonna change our answer. I feel like that type of faith and that type of just confidence and boldness, I would love to just um like witness that and just see like the life that goes on behind.
Well, songwriting, being on the road, I mean, you've got to have some time to like refuel yourself. So like, what is it that refuels you? How do you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, the one of the biggest things that's helped a ton is like really putting into practice Sabbath, like Sabbathing. Because, having one day a week where I know I can just not work and like I like just can kind of shut out the world a little bit and just be with my wife and just be able to do the things that bring me rest. I think has been so helpful to like have that rhythm. And it takes work because as an artist oftentimes you're traveling on a Sunday when it's usually a Sabbath day. And so like picking a day and like planning ahead and blocking it out and all that I feel like has been so helpful to rejuvenate and just make sure that like I'm staying healthy spiritually, physically, mentally, all of that. And then I think the other thing is just like daily prayer. I mean, just daily showing up to the Lord and daily getting in the word and daily seeking the voice of God and what He has to speak and say. Like that is bread, right? Like that is bread to the hungry. And it feeds you. It really does. It's not just like a cliche or just like a word. Like I feel different the days when like I'm not able to pray in the morning and I have to wait till like night or whatever. It's like, oh man, I missed my food. Like I feel spiritually like weaker. I feel like less rested. I feel less like full. And so I think just like having that as such a like non-negotiable priority of like I'm going to wait however early I have to get up. Like, I'm going to pray. I'm going to make sure that I have time with the Lord. That's like intentional and I can just like talk to Him. And I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything you would like to encourage our listeners with right now?
Oh man. Yeah, I think something that's just been so much on my heart in this season is Romans 1:16, it says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel. It's the power of Christ for the salvation of all who believe." And I feel like I feel like that's gonna define this generation of Christianity. Is just like a generation that's not ashamed of the gospel, because we've been told so often, like, oh, just keep that to yourself, keep that Jesus thing to you. No one wants to hear that, all that different stuff. But I heard someone say once, and it's just so convicting to me. It's just like, if I had the cure for cancer and someone had cancer and I didn't share it with them, like, I would be selfish. Like, that'd be such a selfish thing to do. But we have people around us who are starving for salvation, and we're so scared and timid to like share it. It's like, that's selfish of us. And so I think like I think just an encouragement to be bold in the gospel, because you're gonna get rejected. Like, it's actually a promise you're gonna get rejected. Like, Jesus is like, you're gonna be rejected. Like, so don't be afraid of being rejected, but at the same time, like, don't let that be what keeps you from sharing the good news that you have, and
Yeah.
share it with the people around you and really live it. And don't be ashamed of it, but let it be something that just comes out of you in every aspect of your life. Like, be people who live in the freedom of Jesus.